massive news when it comes to royals over the past few days. Andrew is still going to be a prince because, of course, he is the son of the former queen, but he is going to be royal in blood only. All the other titles, all of the other trappings gone, but he gets to stay in a pretty nice house. Angela Levin is a royal biographer, friend of our show, and she will know plenty more than I do right now. Angela, why now?
Two reasons. One is that the girl who said that he raped her several times has now left a book. Um, killed herself actually, which was incredibly difficult 6 months ago, and she's written a book that said, I want no one. And that's going to be released in the UK tomorrow. So a lot of bits have been passed out until then, and the most terrible things about what she thinks how he behaved. Now, we don't know if she's absolutely right, but she was a girl who was incredibly badly treated by Epstein anyway. So that's part of it. The other part is that in America, they're opening up lots of folders that have got all Andrew's emails back and forth to
Oh,
Epstein.
wow. Wow.
And those are pretty hot. And so I think that then the Queen and Charles decided very quickly to get things done. Usually they've taken ages. They spent months to do something, but this was done in a couple of days. And I suspect that they heard that this was going to happen and they wanted to actually get him out of the way.
Yeah, you can imagine how the conversation works, right? I mean, for years he's found a way to try to remain around things. We saw him at funerals recently, but basically, I think he was clearly would have been presented with, look, I'm stripping you of these things if you don't give them up by midday. Do you think that there was an ultimatum that was that clear? Because clearly he had a chance to do this last week, but he wasn't doing this last week.
No, yes, I think it was absolutely, this is what's going to happen. King Charles rang him from Scotland, which he doesn't usually do. If he's going to tell Andrew something, he waits till he sees him because he lives so near. But he actually told him that everything's dropped, nothing. But they can't drop the prince because that's his birth. And so they're leaving that. You can, if you allow the government to work on it for a year. I actually think that they should do that because I think most people are so fed up with him and so fed up with the royal family as a result that I think they don't care whether he's a duke or he's a prince, but it's still, a prince is still something that's even more important than a duke. And the other thing is that Prince William, who is absolutely hysterically hating this man, has made a mistake, made a stand that he's not going to do anything with any of the royal family. He's not going to come anywhere, be anywhere. And when he takes over to be king, he's not going to let him come to the coronation. You can see the feeling, how dreadful he feels about this, and he just doesn't want to have anything to do with him whatsoever. Now, the interesting thing is that the late Queen, who adored Andrew, and he was her favourite, and she actually eventually took away the HRH. But a lot of people feel that she should have done much more those few years ago and got rid of everything because he's just become worse and worse as he's been able to duke, and he's smart and he's clever and patronizing, and they don't think that's a very good idea. And they are complaining about the king, but he couldn't do anything over his mother. You can't do something like that about your brother over what your mother wants to do. So he didn't make any effort to improve himself whatsoever.
Now, obviously, none of us have sympathy for this man because, again, of what has been publicly alleged, again, for the purposes of the lawyers that might be watching, denied, of course, as well, by Andrew. But he's, 65? He's
Yes.
not an old man. He's not a young man either. The likelihood of royal healthcare, and even if it's with all the titles handed back, he's around for a while, all right? So obviously he's not going to have a job. Obviously he's not even going to have a title. So is there any insight into what the next 10 or 20 years looks for the guy? Because he's still able to have this lease of a royal property. That's basically a legal
Yes.
document that they can't flip on.
20 to 78, I think it is.
Wow. So he is in this scenario where he's literally rattling around the house and not even an act of parliament will be able to move him
Yeah.
on from there.
Yes. Well, I mean, what he does a lot is to deal with very rich people all around the country
Right.
and giving them advice and help. So he can sometimes take a plane, he sometimes just does it by phone, and he offers his advice. I think people should run a mile actually about that, but he does get paid for that. And of course, there's still China, where he's got very friendly with Chinese spies, and they have paid him quite a lot as well. They're furious about him doing that. But as for the 30-room house he's got, he's just got to get out of it. He won't because of the contract he's got. However, I think that the king should just give the money to the people who've made the contract and let him get out of it. I mean, just don't want him there. He can't afford to keep it properly. It looks quite dirty and broken and things like that. He doesn't bother about that, but he should do because it is a very important part in Windsor. And it's very difficult. His ex-wife, Sarah, she used to earn a bit of money and give him, paying for staying there. And she had her own rooms, but she's been appalling, absolutely appalling. She said she got 15,000 from Estin, and she was going to give it back to him, but in fact, she asked for $100,000,
Wow.
and she said she would give it back to him. He was furious that she didn't, so she fell out very badly with him. So she's been hanging on for books, to write children's books and to go to charities and all that. But that's all gone. 8 charities wiped her out of the picture because they thought it was disgusting that she was doing that. She said she wouldn't have anything to do with him, but in fact she did. And what a good friend he was and all that sort of stuff, where she shouldn't have been having anything to do with a paedophile.
Absolutely. Well, what was the old line out of Spider-Man? Great power, great responsibility. And again, everything before us here, it's going to be a very lonely existence, but it's one that he's clearly earned. And the family that has a certain tolerance and has done a lot for a long time, no more. Time to go. Angela, lovely to talk to you. Sorry, one more thing you got to say. Let's go.
Yes, the good thing is that two children can keep their title, Beatrix and Eugenie. They're not anything into it, and the king likes them, William likes them, and they will still carry on. It'll be very embarrassing for them, but at least they haven't had to suffer physically by their parents' appalling behaviour.
Good stuff. We love you, Angela. She's written beautiful books, of course, about Harry, not the subject of this conversation, Camilla as well. We love you, Angela. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.